tonight I'm in the South. I'm Central Standard Time Zone, so it's night where I am. Where are you from? We'll be getting started in just a minute. I'm so excited about the topic. Virginia. Good. I've been missing. Listen, yesterday I was on YouTube talking about my survivor story and just really telling why I do what I do. Northern Virginia. I mean, is it cold down there yet? Or is it hot still? Or it's like I'm in the South, so it's still kind of warm here. Still feel like the summertime, even though it's fall. It won't make a... That's how the South is all year long. Like, he can't make up his mind whether it's going to be hot or cold. Hey, Dumia K. Thank you for joining on today. I was asking Lizzie where she's from. Where are you from? I'm from the South. I'm actually from Mississippi. So if y'all hear me say stuff like y'all and like got this twang, sound. Oh, Canada. Welcome. Yeah. So y'all will hear my accent like now. When I'm saying y'all, you'll hear my accent as I teach. I think it's gonna get a little worse like as I go, Yeah, it's gonna get a little worse. So, bear with me. I've been in the South all of my life. And so it's a little hard for me to tell sometimes because I've been here. Like, it's my voice, it's my accent. So, it's hard for me to know when we're like getting really, really Southern. But I'm excited for y'all to be here tonight. I think we're gonna go ahead on and get started. I see some people that has already hopped on my other platforms. I'm streaming to you love my accent. Thank you. Thank you. I have some other people that's joined in. I'm streaming to 3 or 4 different platforms. So I have some other people joined on the other platforms. So I'm gonna go ahead on and get started so that I won't take up too much of y'all's night this beautiful Thursday night. Good evening. I've already been talking back and forth with IG. So Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you guys let me know where you're joining me from on tonight. I'm so glad that you are here. Thank you for those of you who have already shared or who've already tagged someone in. I appreciate you so much. Y'all, I was telling Instagrammers that I have an accent. So, I'm from the South. I've been in the South all of my life. So it usually gets worse as I continue to teach. So, I may say some stuff that you're like, what's she talking about? What does that mean? And I'm completely okay with you asking me, what does that mean? I don't quite know what that means. But I wanted to introduce myself to those of you who do not know me. My name is Dr. Tiffany. I am a therapist and I'm also a relationship expert. I do a lot of mental health advocating, but my pride and joy, I really, really enjoy working with women who have been through traumatic relationships, toxic relationships, unhealthy relationships, and helping them not only just heal, but also recover. And so our coaching business is designed to come alongside with you as you recover, as you're recovering and taking back your life and empowering yourself to get to that next step of where you want to be. And even to stop those toxic cycles, because without healing, if you're in toxic relationships, you will continue those cycles and you don't know that you're continuing those cycles because you're drawing the same kind of people. And we talk about that a lot. So yesterday, if you have not had the opportunity to go back and check out my survivor story, I posted on YouTube yesterday talking about, like, how did I get where I am now? Like, how did Tiffany become Tiffany? And so I talked a little bit about my childhood. I talked about being a four-time sexual abuse survivor. I talked about my family, and I talked about, like, my family is, they are the reasons why I do what I do. And for a portion of time in my life, my two older children, because I was a single parent for like 11 years before I got married, and for a portion of time when I didn't believe in myself, my children were the reason why I kept going. They are the reasons that I kept going, because I had literally given up on my life. So go check out my survivor story, and tell me, give me your feedback. Give me your feedback on it. But tonight, we're talking about quiet quitting. Like, I know y'all have seen, see, here we go, talking about y'all. I know y'all have seen it going around on social media. If you're on TikTok, you see it going around TikTok. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you are, you have seen somebody say something about quiet quitting. So I was reading an article one day and, just talking about what quiet quitting is, and we'll get into that in just a second, exactly what quiet quitting is. And I was like, oh my goodness. Even though I know it's focusing on careers, I wonder how many of us are really doing that in our own lives. Are we really just kind of coasting through in our own lives, not realizing that by doing the bare minimum, we really are quietly giving up on ourselves? Whether that's ourselves, our dream, our relationships, whatever goals that you have, if you're just kind of barely doing enough, then chances are you are quiet quitting in your own life. And so we're going to talk about that today, what exactly quiet quitting is. Let me go to my comments, because when I start talking, like, I can just kind of keep going. But let me go back to my comments and then make sure that everything is set up good, that y'all can hear me good before I get into the content. Okay, everything's set up good. So what exactly is quiet quitting? So according to dictionary.com, because I had to go pull out the research on this one. According to dictionary.com, quiet quitting is an informal term for the practice of reducing the amount of effort one devotes to a job, such as stopping the completion of a task, or not explicitly stated in a job description, or just barely doing enough. Like, I'm not going to say you barely doing enough, because if you're quiet quitting, you're doing what's in your job description. Let's get that clear. Like, some people think quiet quitting means you're not doing your job. No, you are doing your job, but you are doing the bare minimum in your job. Like, whatever in your job description, you're only doing the bare minimum. You're only going to do what's in your job description. And see, the thing about quiet quitting, because it came along with the Great Resignation. If you don't know what the Great Resignation is, like, well, you've been on a rock. How you don't know what the Great Resignation is? Hey, Sharonda. Hey, thank you for joining. If you don't know what the Great Resignation is, then you need to go research and see what the Great Resignation is. But it came about in 2020 with the pandemic, when people just kind of looking at their life, like a lot of us that's on here tonight, just kind of looked at our lives in 2020. I know I did, and was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, this is not, my life look nothing like I thought it was going to look. In fact, I need to do some different stuff. And I did. I went and did some different stuff. And a lot of other people did. Like, it just kind of forced us to really look at our life. Like, it's something about being in a crisis that forces you to evaluate your life. And so a lot of people did in 2020, looked at their careers and realized, yeah, this is not good. Like, I'm not enjoying what I do. I'm over devoting myself, because especially if, like, we're in the States, and so we're kind of taught to overwork ourselves. It's something about working all the time that we equate to our value. And so a lot of people was like, no, a lot of this stuff that I'm doing at my job, I could do this. Like, I can do this at home, because I've had to do this at home for the last year or two while in the pandemic. And so people just kind of was like, I'm not doing this. Like, excuse me, but that's not in my job description. I'm not giving you anything more than that, because it's not in my job description. And hit the term quiet quitting. You're not necessarily quitting. You're just doing barely enough. And so I just started thinking about, well, if people are doing this in their jobs, what does that look like in your relationships? And so for the next couple days, we'll talk about what that looks like. What does quiet quitting look like in your life, like in your relationships? And then tomorrow we'll talk a little bit about what does quitting look like in your, like, on yourself, on your dreams. So what are some signs that you are quietly quitting? Like in the therapy world, we called it disengaging. We call it disengaging. It means you're emotionally disengaging from your partner or from the person that you're in a relationship with or dating. You're emotionally starting to put up some walls or guarding yourself, your heart, or whatever. You're starting to disengage from that relationship. So what does it look like? Sign number one is that you no longer invest time, or you don't feel like investing time into the person that you're with. And couples, especially, they've been together for a long time. Like, we've been married for 11 years. Spending time together has changed over the years. But in quiet quitting, or with disengaged couples, and you can go Google what disengaged couples are, they no longer really put the time or the investment back into their relationship. They don't even put the effort. It's like, I'm not gonna get dressed up for you. We're not even dating. Like, we may go on a date every now and then, or we may spend time together, or we come home and we, talking to one another, but it's usually about business, or it's usually about the children or other things, but we're not spending that intimate time with one another where we're just really learning one another, what we like, what we don't like. We're not spending that intimate time together. And y'all know, if you want to grow your relationship, spend time together. Like, it's not a secret. Like, building your relationship is not a secret. What builds a relationship? A healthy relationship. A healthy relationship. What builds a healthy relationship, the primary thing that any therapist or anybody's going to tell you is spending time together. That's how you get to know the person. So when you start disengaging or quietly quitting, then the first thing that starts going is the amount of time and effort that you put into that relationship. And then the second thing is avoiding intimacy. That means physical intimacy, that's emotional intimacy, that's sexual intimacy, but you just, like, you're not in the mood. Like, have you been with somebody where you just, like, not in the mood? And it's really different for women, because it's something about us that we emotionally need to connect with the person that we're with. And when we don't emotionally connect with the person that we're with, then it's hard to actually physically connect with the person that we're with. And so you start seeing these things with disengaged couples, or they may start taking the long route home because they don't really want to come home. They don't really like coming home to deal with you or to be with you, or they just start finding other things to prioritize inside their relationship. And for a lot of people, it's work. Some people will rather spend time at work, or spend time doing work, or doing things that they enjoy, than actually spend time with the person that they're with. So is it a problem? Because, according to a lot of the stuff that's out there with quiet quitting, remember, it's just talking about careers, and right now we're making it apply to relationships. So is it a problem? Is it a problem for your partner or for you to quietly quit or to disengage from each other? Is it a problem? Like, I'm posing that to you guys. Do you think it is a problem? Because y'all know I'm going to tell you whether or not it's a problem. Initially, no, it's not a problem. Initially, it's not a problem. It's not a problem for a relationship to disengage. Demia say it is a problem. We're going to talk about that, Demir. We're going to talk about when it gets to be a problem, because you're right, too. Both of us are right. It is a problem, then it isn't a problem. So let's talk about that. So it is a problem, or it is not a problem, if it's just the fact that this is a temporary position you're in, or a temporary place that you're in, and you're emotionally drained, and you may need some space, and because we need that time. Like, right, we need time together. Time apart. Every couple needs time apart. Like, you can't 100% be on with the other person all the time. Like, we're not emotionally wired to 100% be on. We're just not. Everybody needs time and space. You can't survive in a relationship if you don't have time by yourself. You need that time apart. You need, actually, in relationships, you need a healthy balance of time I'm spending together and time I'm spending apart. I need time with my girlfriends. Like, I need time to just go be me. I need time because with your girlfriends, you can just be, you just kind of be silly. I mean, hopefully you can do that with your partner too. But for some of us, like, you just, I mean, it's just a different connection with you, when you're with your friends. It's just different. And so you need that time where you're spending time with your girlfriends outside of your marriage or outside of your relationship. Or, I mean, you just need that time. And so you need that healthy balance of time I spend apart and then time I spend with you. And then time I spend by myself. You need the healthy balance of all three of those. And then it's not a problem when it's just a sign of stress. If you have some stress going on at work, it may be hard for you to come home and actually be intimate with your partner because you got stress going on in another area of your life. And so is it a problem to just kind of disengage? No, not initially. It's not. But here's when it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem when it's your relationship dynamic. Meaning you're the one that's distanced all the time. Like, you're always wanting to be by yourself, or you're always putting guards up in your relationship, or you don't trust that other person, or you're afraid that they're going to leave, so you're going to already leave. And we do these things sometimes unconsciously. This is when you're in the danger zone. And then your relationship dynamic is that you distance yourself, you disengage, whether emotionally and physically, or one or the other, or a combination of them both. Usually it's a combination of them both. Whoop. The little bug. It's a combination of them both. And then your partner is the one that just kind of comes after you. So in therapy, we call it a pursuer distancer relationship. So it's the person who disengaged, and then it's the person that the other person in the relationship that's always planning, or always, affectionate, or always, trying to spend intimate time with you, or always suggesting, that you guys be alone, of time alone, or take a trip, or whatever it is. It's a problem when it's just always that way. If it's your relationship dynamic all the time, that's how you know when you're in a danger zone. And we know we have relationships like that. When I'm working with a young lady, or when I'm working in relationships and I'm talking about relationships and I'm asking questions like, tell me what your relationship like. And I said, well, really, I'm just not really invested, or I really don't like to spend time with this person. I really don't like this person. I don't really trust them. Okay, what is their response to that? Well, they're always doing things for me, or they're always nice. They're really nice to me. They're always the one, I'm planning, or they're always the one suggesting that we're doing things. Then I know I probably got that pursuer distancer relationship. And so where did that come from? What does that dynamic come from? Usually it comes from some inner wounds that probably don't have nothing to do with that partner. I mean, we left off, when was that? Tuesday, talking about attachment. And so usually when there's an attachment wound, and attachment wound means that you had some type of childhood, in your childhood, you had some kind of, how do I say this and make it really plain? In your childhood, your caregiver didn't show up for you. Or if they showed up for you, they were very inconsistent. Or maybe in your childhood, you always was the person who was the one emotionally, or trying to emotionally connect with your parent. Even though your parent may have been very emotionally cold, or maybe emotionally distant. And so what you learned about love is that in order for a person to love you, then you had to always pursue them. And so usually the same kind of relationship dynamic that you had as a child, we start to see that in your adult relationships. Especially if it's a long-term relationship and you're starting to really feel comfortable with that person, then it's something about being in those long-term relationships that kind of bring up those wounds in our heart if they're not healed. And so here's another clue that you're in a danger zone if you're quietly quitting or disengaging from your relationship is when you have completely checked out or shut down. Now, if you're in a relationship with somebody and you don't like checked out, and all of us know what it checked out is. Like, imagine being in a meeting with for like 5 hours and the person is just talking monotone, and if you thinking about what you gonna eat, what you gonna do when you get home, what you gonna do on the what drive home, and you need to go plan a trip, like you're not thinking about nothing that person said because your mind is somewhere else. You have checked out. And it's the same way in a relationship. When you have started checking out or when you started shutting down in that relationship, then you're not emotionally invested, but you almost have become cold to that other person, and you don't really like. I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were just talking about their relationship, and just kind of chatting as we do, not a client. And I was sharing with them. I said, well, oh, that sounds like that person had an emotional affair. And their response to that is, now they've been in the relationship for a while. Their response to that is, well, I really don't even care. I'm like, wait a minute. You're in a relationship with somebody that, you're doing life with every day, and you don't care if they've had an emotional affair? That is when you have crossed over into the danger zone in that relationship. And even though you're still there, emotionally, you're already gone. And people get to that place in their relationship when there's a lot of unresolved anger there, or when there's a lot of unresolved hurt, resentment, bitterness, and that of because of things that have happened in that relationship. They just kind of get there. According to Gottman, it's a very volatile relationship, or a lot of high conflict inside of that relationship. You just kind of get to that place to where you just kind of check out. You just kind of shut down. And then the last one, which is what I just said a few minutes ago, is there's a lot of hidden anger. Sometimes we're not keeping quiet in the relationship to keep the peace. Sometimes we're keeping quiet because we know if the lid came off the pot, then we're going to just explode. And that means there's a lot of hidden anger, a lot of hidden bitterness and resentment that is there. And more than likely, it comes from just a lot of hurt and pain that's happened in that relationship. That's how you know when your quiet quitting has crossed over into the danger zone. So what do you do? What do you do? Because I can't leave y'all with just, okay, this is what we're talking about. I want to give y'all some tools. What do you do? If you're in a relationship, checking out is the worst. Checking out is the worst in a relationship. I've been there. Me too, Demi. I've been there. It's the worst because you might as well just, really you're there, but physically you're there. Emotionally, you're not there. You're not there. You're just not there. And so what do you do? Okay, I've been in that situation where I've been in a relationship, or I find myself in a relationship and I'm just kind of emotionally not there. If it's just stress, if it's just, I'm just disengaging because I got a lot going on in my life. I got a lot of things on my shoulder, a lot of responsibility that's not related to the relationship. If it's not related to the relationship, this is a you problem. That reel just started popping up in my head. It's a them problem. It's a them problem. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't got nothing to do with them. It's a you problem. So what do? Journaling is a really good way for you to be aware, because sometimes we behave and things, our behavior, or we're doing things that's, that no one's really checking us on, but we know we're not kind of rising up to the level that we know we should show up as. Sometimes it's just a matter of being aware of where you are. Journaling is an excellent tool for that. Journaling helps you process in the moment how you feel, what's going on. You asking yourself, why am I just barely showing up? Why am I just barely showing up to this relationship? Is it really the relationship, or did something happen that I haven't dealt with? Is there some hidden conflict somewhere? Or is this, is it me? Or am I with somebody that I just don't want to be with? I mean, because that's a real thing. Like, you can really not want to show up to the relationship because you don't really want to be there. And if you don't really want to be there, then what's keeping you there? Are you just kind of hanging on because you're lonely and right now they're just filling a void until you find somebody else, until you get up enough courage to leave? Or are you there and you're barely there because you're scared of getting too close to them? You're afraid that they're going to mistreat you, or they're going to hurt you, or, leave you or disappoint. It's always going to start with you. Like, it's always going to start with you. And journaling helps in that. It helps you process you. It helps you label you and how you feel and your behavior and what your actions are. It helps you label you. And if it's just, I'm stressed and I just need a minute, then own that. Like, own that. I'm stressed. I just need a minute. But let's schedule some time so that we can begin rekindling our relationship. And what do you do that? How do you do that? Well, you plan a date night. Plan some time on your calendar, on whatever you have to do in order to spend time with that other person. Because stress is a real thing, y'all. Like, we got children, and we got two little ones. Well, we got one 3-year-old and an 11-year-old. So we have children, and then we don't have anybody around us that we can say, hey, will you watch the kids? Because people be busy and people have a life. And so it's like planning time together where it's without the children sometimes can be a challenge. It can be a challenge. But you guys have got to figure out a way of reconnecting. Because if you don't, then you're going to end up in the danger zone. And you don't want to be in the danger zone. If you're not in the danger zone, there's hope. You have hope. Go journal, go talk to your partner, go figure out what you need to do in order to prioritize time with that person. However, if you see you are in the danger zone, and I kind of went over some danger zone signs. If you find that you are in a danger zone in your relationship, then going to journal and going to spend time together is not going to fix it. It ain't going to fix it. I don't care how many date nights you plan. Y'all can fight at every one of them. Every one of them. And it still not be intimacy. You still not be building intimacy. If you're in the danger zone, you got to deal with danger zone issues in a way that's different. It's just going to be different. So at that point, you're going to look at therapy. If it's really toxic, what we've been talking about, I've been offering suggestions on how do you handle toxic relationships. So go check out some of those other videos that I've already put out there. But if it's in that danger zone, therapy is going to be your best option. It's going to be your best option. It's going to be your best option. And that way you figure out what's this pursuer distancer thing y'all got going on? Or what's this, in some relationships, both of y'all are quiet quitting. Like, so that means they neither one of y'all showing up to the relationship. And, both of y'all angry at one another. There's a lot of hidden anger and resentment and, extremely volatility that's going on and just extremely toxic. Like, those issues right there, and you can't journal over those. You got to go see somebody. But if it's just, I got some things going on that, we can work out, or, even if it's the couple together and it's just minor stuff like communication and, and not prioritizing one another. Like those are all issues. I don't want to make it seem like it's small, but there are minor issues and then there are major issues in relationships. I'm sure you guys know that. But if it's just something small and you just want to, we just need to figure out a way to reconnect. Nothing's wrong. Like, nothing bad has happened in our relationship. We just have gotten out of practice. We just stopped prioritizing one another. Then that's learning how to get back on the same page, or whatever you guys need to do to get back on the same page. You can do that in just sitting down talking. Some stuff can be fixed in healthier relationships just by talking. Just by spending that quality time together and learning how to prioritize one another. And if you with somebody that you don't feel comfortable talking to, then that's a problem. If you done devoted 15 an hour, an hour, a year, 2 years into a relationship, and you don't feel comfortable talking to that person, then something wrong with that relationship. It's either something wrong with that relationship, or you have some stuff that you haven't processed through. So I hope those are tools that you can take and use so that you can stop quiet quitting. Stop barely showing up. Like, stop barely showing up. You owe yourself more than that. We're talking about your life. You're a jewel. You don't barely show up. We don't have time for that. Like, we got too much stuff to accomplish. Don't barely show up. Whether that's your job, whether it's your life, or whatever. Don't barely show up. And if you're in a relationship where you're barely showing up, you can do something about it. Like, you can do something about it. So I love you guys. I let me check my comments, because I have not been checking comments, y'all. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I have not been checking comments. So I'll take questions. Let me check. Thank y'all so much. For those of you who have commented, thank you so much. I appreciate that. But don't barely show up. Like, your life is just too, you're too valuable. Your time. Like, my mama would tell me, growing up, she's like, one thing that you have in your life that you will never get back is time. You won't ever get time back. Like, once time is gone, it's gone. And a lot of times with opportunities, once opportunities are gone, they may not come back. And so instead of living life barely enough, because I feel like, if we're comfortable in our life, whether it's your life, whether it's your relationship, or whether it's your career, if you're comfortable, you're probably not growing. I don't think there's a middle ground. Like, I don't think we were put here to just be comfortable. And your relationship too, like, you should be comfortable with the person that you're with, but your relationship is going to be always growing, because you should be always growing, and you're going to always be changing. No question, this was very insightful, and thank you for explaining situations where disengaging is good versus bad. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get with me. You can message me or email me, either way. Okay, I do have a question on how do you reconnect after quiet quitting. One way, I think I said this a little bit earlier, and maybe you came in a little late. So if you're quiet quitting into the relationship, or in your relationship, if it's a healthy relationship, which means there's, no abuse there, and y'all just kind of may not be seeing eye to eye right now, or maybe y'all have some minor things that you need to work on, communication, and, those are kind of minor things, then the very first thing that I would suggest doing is sitting down, talking with your partner. Sit down talking with your partner. But not after you've talked with yourself. Because if it's you that's quiet quitting, if it's you that's kind of disengaging a little bit, I want you to know why you're doing that. Like, if it's stress, then you know how to deal with stress, or you can find some kind of other ways to deal with stress. Or if it's problems with the relationship that you need to go to that person with and reconcile or talk about and and resolve that, then go to that person and resolve that. Because what I find sometimes is people just don't, especially if you don't like conflict, like, some things can be going on in you or in the relationship that you just don't want. Because I don't really want the conflict, I'm not gonna say anything. Like, I'm not gonna say anything. And I have a friend who say that keeping quiet doesn't always mean keeping peace. Like, especially in relationships. Like, there's some times that we, you guys kind of swallow your pride and, this is not a priority for me to deal with right now. I'm just going to swallow my pride. But then there's some other times when, no, we need to deal with this. You hurt my feelings. You said something that I didn't like. Or, I don't feel like you're showing up, or I don't feel like you're doing the things that you used to do, or you may be spending too much time at work. Like, you have to actually have those communication, or have those times where you're talking. But first, you got to be honest with you. If you're the one quiet quitting, then you need to know why you're quiet quitting. And then the second step after that would be to sit down and have a conversation with the partner. Have a conversation with your partner. And I'm not talking about the conversation that say surface level. No. We too grown to have them surface level conversations. I mean, let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go a little bit deeper and really get to the heart of why you have just not been showing up. Get to the heart of it. Let's figure out something that we can do to turn this thing around, because I love you. I really love you. I really don't want to lose you. Like, I really enjoy spending time with you. I remember those times when we like spend time together. I remember those times. I really do love you. I really do care for you. I'm not trying to be contentious. I'm just wanting for us to come to some kind of middle ground of how we can begin turning this relationship around where we both enjoy showing up. I hope that helped. How do you go deeper? Now, that's a good question. Going deeper is probably going to look different for everybody. It's going to look different from everybody. If you have someone who emotionally struggles with communicating how they feel, or communicating what they want, or even communicating that they need something, like if you have somebody who struggle with emotions, going deeper is going to be hard for them. It's going to be hard for them. But how you learn how to go deeper is really sitting down and saying, what is it that I really want? Like, what do I want? What do I need? And a lot of people will get stuck right there in knowing what it is that I really need, or what is it that I really desire. But going deep means asking the tough questions. Asking them questions that you really don't want to, like, you don't really want to ask, whether that's asking them or asking yourself. I hope that helped. I don't know if I really explained that. Like, going deeper. A surface level to me is like, oh, how were you today? How was your job today? Like, how was, are you doing okay? And most of the time, if we really be honest, we're going to say, yeah, I'm doing good. Even though we may be tore up. We may be tore up. But we're going to say, yeah, I'm good. No, I'm not okay. That's going deeper. No, I'm not okay today. I'm not okay today. I had a horrible day. I was thinking about something, or something happened at work today that really, upsetted me. And like, that's being transparent or being vulnerable. So being aware of how you feel, but also being able to communicate that to somebody else. Did they help? Did they help, Connie? That was a really good question. That was a really, really good question. Should I ask my partner, how do they want me to show up for? Yes. That is a really good question to ask your partner. How do you want me to show up? Or what makes me a good partner? How can I be a good partner for you? That is a really good question. How do you want me to show up? I love that question. How do I want you to show up? And then you got to be prepared to answer that question too. Like, if you're asking them, then you got to be prepared to ask that question, answer the same questions. Like, you showing up would be A, B, and C. You showing me that you love me is A, B, and C, because it means different for everybody. We can't assume that they're just going to automatically know. They're not going to automatically know what we need. They're not going to automatically know, what our love language is. They don't automatically know. And so we have to teach. I mean, it sounds bad to say, but in a way, you teach people how to treat you, or you teach them how to love you, and communicating the hard stuff, or how do I want you to show up? Like, that's going deeper, and that is what makes for good intimacy inside relationships too. Really good question. Yeah, Beverly Love said, thanks for that question. That was a good question. It really was. It was a good question. Any other questions? Y'all got good questions tonight. I love it. Let me check IG, see if IG have any questions. I'm gonna check other platforms and see if they have some questions. If y'all have some to roll in, y'all just let me know. Or y'all think of some while I'm still live. I'll be live a few more minutes before I cut off for questions. If I don't see any more come in, join us back here tomorrow as we close out. I like the 7 o'clock. I have some things that I'm working on. I can't wait to announce. I don't really want to announce it now because I don't have a date set. But I'm really excited about some things that I've been working on. Kind of like a community for women who have been in toxic relationships or recovering from toxic relationships or sexual abuse survivors. And so just that's all I better say about that. I don't have a date for when we're going to launch it out, but I'm excited about it. I've been working on it, and I can't wait to share more about it with you guys. So I'm going to spend next week working on that. But join me back tomorrow, and we will talk about are you quiet quitting on yourself? So how long should you wait if your partner does not make regular contact? If your partner, now by regular contact, what do you mean? Like they're not calling? And it really depends too, like, on how long the relationship has been. Because if y'all been dating, like, a couple of years, then, or a year or whatever, if y'all been dating for a while, I calling and texting. Okay, calling and texting. Thank you for clarifying that. If y'all been dating for a while, then I don't see why a day would go by without them calling. And one thing about from what I'm told, my own experience, I'm just going to speak from my experience and from a lot of the clients that I've worked with for men, and I'm talking from the standpoint of being a woman, that for most guys, when they really like you, they're not going to wait 2 and 3 days to contact you unless they're working or out where they can't call you or respond to you. Like, my husband worked off for a while, and so he couldn't call because the phone wouldn't work, But even during those times, he would even try to email. So for a person, if they really loved you, really cared about you, really wanted to spend time with you, really wanted to be in a relationship with you, then they will make contact with you. Like they wouldn't just go ghosting you for days and days on time, and you don't know where they are, and you hadn't talked to them, and we do. That's child stuff. Like that's what children do. But as adults, if they're ghosting you and they're not responding to your messages, and they call only certain periods of times, or days will go by, and then all of a sudden they'll pick up the phone and call, or they'll pick up the phone and text you, and then it's just kind of real surface level when they text you, or they're just texting you a certain period of times of the night, or no, we can put an end to that. Like I'm not an option. Like I am not an option. Like being with me is not an option. So if you're really serious about moving forward in the relationship, then I don't see why we would go days and not talk, or weeks even, unless there was a reason why. People have all different kind of jobs and and situations. So depending on their situation, and I'm just assuming that there's no situation that's stopping them from calling. Thanks. So I know I ain't crazy. No, you're not crazy. No, you're not. You're not crazy. No, they shouldn't just be ghosting, and that's what we call it. It's ghosting. If they just kind of call you once, twice, and then you don't hear from them for a certain period of time, they just kind of ghost you, and that's unhealthy, and that's inconsistency. And you have to think about it, for yourself. Like, is this something that I really want? Like, if they're doing this now and we're not married, or if they're doing it and you married, then that's another. Like, I know people that do that they're usually going off. If they just kind of go ghost, it's I'm thinking, because I've worked in addictions before, are they addicted to something? Because sometimes people, when they're addicted to something, they go, go binge for days and days on time, sometimes weeks, and then they'll come back because they don't want you to see them in that situation. But that's because I've worked in substance abuse and I've been around people who've been, in active addiction, so I understand that. But no, they shouldn't just be up and ghosting you. No, not if they were really serious about being in a relationship. Yeah, and so you could put an end to that by blocking them. I mean, I don't, I hate to be blunt, but you can put an end to that real quick. It's like, you either show up or you don't. You've shown me a history that you're not going to be consistent. If you're inconsistent dating, you're going to be inconsistent married. And so, yeah, maybe this is as far as although we've come to the end of the road, it's time to come to the end of the road, and then, block them. Yeah. I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm sorry. That was kind of blunt, I know, but yeah. I mean, you're worth so much more. Like, your time is precious. Like, I'm precious. You're precious. You're precious. Your time is precious. You don't have time for people wasting it. I don't have time for people wasting your time. Like, you should be able to tell me your intentions after, a certain period of time. We've been spending time together. However long this, we're adults. And you should know at least by a year. That's the way I see it. It's like, you should know by a year whether or not, we're going to be together. If we're not going to be together, then why are we wasting our time? Why are we doing this? Yeah, honesty, when I get the message, I don't. You don't bother. Yeah, I mean, that's hurtful. That's hurtful. It's hurtful to be with somebody and then they just kind of all of a sudden that just kind of disappear on you. It's really hurtful. All right, y'all. I am going to call it a night so that I can go visit my family and eat some dinner before I have a meeting at 9 o'clock. And so I am going to go and eat before my 9 o'clock meeting. I love y'all so much. I'll see y'all back here hopefully tomorrow at 7 p.m. as we talk about, are you quiet quitting on yourself? I hope you're not quiet quitting on yourself. But come on back here tomorrow and we'll talk about it. I love y'all. Have a good night.